Y'all, there are so many people who were taught that vowels are A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y and W. That doesn't make any sense.
As a kid, I was taught that W is a consonant, but really, it's a bit more complicated than that. First, what's a vowel and what's a consonant? Well, to put it shortly, consonant sounds are made when airflow is blocked at some point in your vocal tract. And vowels is when there isn't blockage in your vocal tract. So like if I make a B sound, B, where I'm blocking the air at my lips and then releasing it. And if I make a vowel like for example, there isn't blockage, right? Air is just flowing freely. Now, it seems easy to break sounds into those two categories until you get to sounds like w, right? Which in English is often represented by W, because w is what's called an approximant, where you're getting close to blocking the air, but really not really. And it puts w in a place in between a vowel and a fricative consonant. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, he just said that we're not really blocking the air when we say "wa," so what's wrong with calling it a straight-up vowel? And my answer to that is that "wa" doesn't really show up in the middle of a syllable or the nucleus of a syllable. And that's where the straight-up vowels like to hang out, right? "Wa" will usually show up at the beginning or the end of the syllable, right? The onset or the coda of a syllable. And that's where consonants usually like to hang out. So as a compromise, right, "wa" is often called a semivowel, right, which has properties of a vowel, but also acts like a consonant. So is "wa" a consonant? Sorta, but that's not the only way we use W, right? There are other times where W absolutely represents a vowel sound, but in English orthography, W rarely stands on its own as a straight-up vowel, right? It usually comes in a pair, like AW, OW, EW, think awful or through or wow. So if you're teaching kids that sometimes W represents a vowel sound, I don't see too much of an issue with that. But if your definition of vowel is a singular letter that represents a vowel sound rather than a digraph, then most of the time W probably isn't gonna fit. But even then, there's still exceptions, right? Like, pwned is an English word with a W in that vowel spot. And if you're in a place where Welsh is also being used, then you might get words like cwtch that have W's in that vowel spot. So yeah, like I said, it's complicated.